Must a husband or wife leave the marital residence upon the request of his or her spouse? I am often asked this question by folks who are contemplating a separation, and sometimes only one spouse, the husband or the wife, is on the title to the property, and at some point they've asked their spouse to leave, to get out of their house. And the answer to the question is generally no. Generally, a spouse is not required to leave the marital residence. And in fact, the danger of a spouse leaving the marital residence is a claim by the other spouse of desertion or abandonment, a fault ground for divorce in Virginia. Now, there are several instances in which a spouse may be compelled or allowed to leave the marital residence. One could be the issuance of a protective order, where one spouse is ordered to stay away from the other spouse. The second basis for exclusive possession of the marital residence is through a court order as part of pendente lite relief in a divorce case. Pendente lite relief is relief that is granted pending litigation. It's temporary relief. And as part of that relief, a spouse can ask for exclusive possession of the marital residence. And that might be either spouse, regardless of who is on the title to the property. That would be granted for some good cause in the case. For instance, one of the spouses is abusing the other spouse, or there's creating some kind of dangerous condition in the home, or one of the spouses is guilty of committing adultery within the marital residence. In any of those instances, and for other good cause that the judge finds in his or her discretion, a spouse may be excluded from the marital residence. The other spouse will be given exclusive possession of the marital residence. Now, I should stop here and explain the policy of the Commonwealth of Virginia is to promote marriages and to promote families. So unless certain causes exist, the policy of the state is not to make it easier for people to separate and get divorced. And spouses have certain rights arising from the marital relationship. Now, a third way that those rights can be addressed is through a written separation agreement or property settlement agreement. The parties can always agree upon separating that they're free to live separate lives as if they were single, and that neither one of them will claim the other deserted or abandoned them, or him or her, and that further, in the event either party files for a divorce, that person will only file on a no-fault basis, based on the separation of the parties, and not based on a fault ground. So those are some of the conditions under which someone might leave the marital residence legally, or be forced out of the marital residence legally. Otherwise, a spouse who is asked to leave the marital residence should not necessarily accede to that demand. I advise all of you in all instances where you're in that situation to please consult with a Virginia lawyer to discuss all your options given the particular circumstances of your case.